through to your 11th quarterfinal here. How does it feel?
It feels great. I had a fantastic couple of matches in a row at the center court. Last 2 rounds, I've felt more confident going through the ball, hitting serves really well. Today was a good test because Diego was in form, haven't dropped a set. He hasn't dropped a set in 3 rounds, so obviously he can be a very dangerous opponent from the baseline if you give him time. I knew that, and I stepped out on the court with a clear game plan, what I need to do, and I think I kept things pretty much in control and all 3 sets, and maybe could have finished the match a bit earlier, but all in all, it was a very solid performance.
Your children and how they're playing tennis. What's the dynamic there? Is it how good is your son, and are you their favourite player?
There is no dynamic. It's very spontaneous. As I said on the court, there's really no rules in terms of them needing to play tennis or any other sport. It's just whether there is a desire or passion or love for them to do that, and if there is, then we do it. And I'd like them to be active. They are active. They're trying different things. My son likes martial arts and football and tennis. But he likes to play with me and with his best friend. He doesn't like to play with too many other people. Obviously, when they travel with me, he gets more opportunities, I guess, to play tennis, and we do play some side courts or practice courts, and we've done that in the past, and just to see him smiling on the tennis court, that's all I need to see. Obviously, I'd like them to enjoy whatever they want to do. He still hasn't expressed who his favorite player is. I hope I'll be working on becoming his favorite player.
Novak, Isner and Karlovic and Raonic, how would you differentiate playing against their serves?
Well, I feel like Raonic moves better than Isner and Karlovic. I mean, he's not as tall as these 2 guys. They're, 6'10", I think, or 2 meters 10. I mean, they're the tallest players ever to play the tennis sport. So obviously, it's a huge advantage when you hit serves from that height. You can hit any angle, anything you really want, and that puts a lot of pressure on your opponent. But of course, that also has some disadvantages in terms of movement. And if the returner gets the ball back in play, then I think Raonic is better, than these 2 guys. But I feel like, maybe you could read his serve better than Isner and Karlovic. I mean, maybe it's I don't want to say slightly slower, but just a little bit of a different toss, different technique, and can, probably get some looks at second serves or break points and stuff like this, maybe a bit more than the other 2 guys. But again, it's such a minor difference that you don't really notice it so much, but on the court it makes a big difference.
You talk about the massive popularity, the impact on the popularity of tennis in Serbia that you've had. How much it's impacted people and made them want to play tennis, and is it vital for you to have a big superstar in a country to develop the interest of tennis and the passion in tennis?
Well, it obviously helps, when you have success on a global level. Of course, it has a very positive impact in your country, and Serbia didn't really have a successful or long tennis tradition. Before Boba Živojinović or Monika Seles, that was probably the first generation of successful tennis players coming from our country. And then really all of a sudden, I don't believe in coincidences in life, but it looked very much like a coincidence because there was no system or structure that really kind of supported our breakthrough to professional tennis. But in one moment we had, you know, 3 number ones of the world, you know, beside myself, Ana Ivanovic, Jelena Jankovic on the women's side, and 4 actually, doubles Nena Zimonjic as well. So Janko Tipsarevic top 10. I mean, it was amazing, you know, decade for our tennis, and that has obviously helped popularity of that sport in our country, and there was a lot of interest, a lot of young people, you know, choosing to grab a tennis racket. The problem that we have is still the infrastructure, but it's also the system that hasn't been really hasn't really followed the success as well as it should have. And I do consider, you know, myself also responsible to try to do something when I'm not playing, and through the tennis club that you know, we are running in Belgrade, and you know, through my free time I try to help federation and help anybody really that likes tennis, that is in tennis, to establish some system that will be a long-standing, kind of long-term shot system that will allow kids and parents to have an easier access to tennis, cheaper access to tennis rackets, tennis courts and stuff like this, because it's, you know, for an average you know, income for an average family in Serbia, it's really expensive to play tennis. That's the reality, and they will most likely choose, if it comes down to economics, you know, basketball or football or handball or volleyball. Those are really successful sports in our country. Team sports have always, we've been a nation of team sports, so it's really nice to see an individual sport kind of sparking the interest of youth and of people in general. They do follow it, of course, a lot on the TV and everything, but I still feel like there is quite a bit of a gap, and we still have a lot of work to do to get actually on the grassroots level more players.